What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. If you want to get all technical, it is the return of the People's Show. People have been clamoring. When is the People's Show going to have a reunion? Of course, you guys caught us during football, during the NFL season. We were up at the absurd hour. I shouldn't even say up. We were on the air at the absurd hour at 8:30, 8:45, 9 o'clock in the a.m. for NFL. We're reuniting. It's been too long, boys. It's Bobby Gomes, $1 Million winner Bobby Gomes, and it's Tasteful Tides, Tim. It's gonna be a fun show. We're gonna learn. Speaking of fun is gonna be a theme of the show. We'll talk about that later on when we're ranking our stacks. Tim is the he knows about fun. We'll be talking about it later on. But Tim, anything fun going on in your life? Welcome to the People's Show. I know you're excited about the reunion. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, very excited for the reunion. Excited for the slate. Definitely have some weather concerns to talk about, but yeah, it's going to be a fun show.
It is one of the first things I look at. I'll go ahead and drop this in chat for the people. What's up, chat? Hit that like button and subscribe and turn on those notifications. Do all those things. Check out Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth, his article, the one that looks most daunting from a precipitation perspective. That is the Mets. The Mets are straight orange at home versus Detroit. Orange is the dicey color. I thought earlier in the day this game was just not going to play. We'll see. The weather is bad, even if it goes, like as far as temperature, it's in the 40s. Both games in Chicago look like they're a little bit better than they were earlier today. Yellow-green currently for the White Sox, hosting the Braves, and the Cubbies are hosting the Rockies. Arizona apparently is going to open their roof tonight. It is a dry heat out there in the desert, but that seems to be what we're keeping an eye on. Baltimore, that's for a different slate. I don't even know when that game is going on, but that is yellow-orange as well. Of course, if anything changes, you guys know Kevin Roth's going to be on in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. With crunch time, you got Keith Eyster. I think Keith will be covering basketball. Obviously during this, the crossing over the two sports, we're doing baseball first, basketball later. Basketball, the news flow is so wild that it makes much more sense to backload the basketball, front load the baseball, and baseball is also new and fun right now. Bobby, what's up? Happy Tuesday. How are things in your world? Things good? Oh, Bobby's in mute world.
Oh, that's
the People's Show.
That's a rough start,
How
Bobby.
How am I muted?
No wonder we don't
get
regular time. No wonder we don't get regular time, Bobby.
How am I muted? Yeah. Well, anyway, welcome otherwise.
I'm happy to be back, happy to be with my guys, Dean and Tim, and yeah, looking forward to talking some MLB today. Favorite DFS sport by a long shot.
Is this I'm sure I've asked this before, is this a sport you won $1 million, or was it baseball, or was it football? What sport did you win $1 million?
NFL, but
all right.
For
and
sure,
NFL still could not lead to be your favorite. But
MLB,
your favorite.
MLB, without a doubt.
Are you
it's the first DFS sport, I would say.
You think it was the first one that there was actually contests for? It's the first one I remember playing for me, but that's like when I jumped in, like 10 years ago or whatever it was. I don't know. Was it the first one in the lobby? It might have just been because of how seasons work.
I'm not sure. I pretty much prefer, without a doubt, just playing baseball, just because the variance is still there, and it's just a sport where you can play leverage, and I don't know. I just feel like it's easily my favorite. Just the way to think about the game is playing MLB DFS.
Got some lineups coming in. It looks like Darno is not playing baseball today. I'm seeing him kicked out of the lineup HQ. I did not expect that. Yeah, Chadwick Trump is he's batting ninth again for Atlanta. Acuna leading off. Albies, Riley, Olsen, Ozuna, Duvall, Harris, Arcia, and then Trump. I thought that we would get Darno, but no Darno today. Anything else coming in as far as lineups? The Cubs just dropped as well. Horner, Suzuki, Bellinger, Morel, Swanson, Happ, Cooper, Madrigal, and Amaya. So no Yan Gomes, the backup catcher. Amaya getting the starts. It's nice to see Morel not buried. Remember he was buried in the 9-hole last year? I went on so many rants about that. Very excited to see him.
He's your favorite player, Dean.
I mean, it was so disrespectful to bat him ninth. It was like him and Michael Harris was the other guy. Like, it was. I know Atlanta's got a deeper lineup, but I just never understood. And I always got tilted when Kyle Tucker was batting sixth, which is just like, what are we doing? Kyle Tucker batting sixth? This guy's one of the best hitters in the league. We're going to bury him behind Jose Abreu, who has not hit a home run since like 1972. You're getting me started on a rant. It's not necessary, but this is an interesting slate, Tim. The overview. It's Dave said this. Cheese is good. He'll be on later on, and he said it. And I was thinking the same thing before I actually read it. It's like there's all these good names. You get it's like, oh well, we got Luis Castillo, we got Zach Gallen, we got the Biebs, Logan Webb, Framber Valdez, who was a disaster opening day, but like historically, he's just a machine. He's a ground ball machine. He's a quality start machine, and he got a lot of inning double plays to kind of get him out of his historic 6-walk game. But then it's like, well, I don't know how many of them I actually want to play. It's just sort of weird, right? Where I don't know how much I want to pick on New York. Certainly Gallen's fine. Gallen's not this elite strikeout pitcher. He's very good. Bieber looked spectacular his first start, but he was facing a terrible team. But Seattle's a good matchup as well. I kind of believe in Bieber in a little bit of a resurgence. What's the name of the place that they all went to in the offseason? Driveline? Is it called Driveline? You kind of figure out you take your stuff in the offseason. Looks like he's made some advances and kind of figured some stuff out and gotten healthier as well. Just one game. It was Oakland. I don't want to completely, blow that up. And also he was great in the spring training as well. But I kind of believe in the comeback of the Biebs. But and then Logan Webb. I don't know if I mentioned Webb or not, but you want to pick on the Dodgers. Like I like Logan Webb. He's spectacular. He's a great ground ball guy. Probably not somebody I want to stack against, unless maybe it's the Dodgers or the Braves. But it's sort of like misleading, Tim, as far as this slate, because there's a lot of big names, much better than yesterday. Although there was we saw a no-hitter yesterday, which I did not see coming. Shout out to, Pinto? Was that the guy's name for Houston? I'm forgetting his name already.
Blanco.
Blanco. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Blanco. Man, how bad is Toronto? But, how are you seeing this slate, Tim? How's it shaping up for you? Do you kind of see it the same way? It's like, wow, there looks like some great pitchers, and they are. But, like, the specific spots are not, like, amazing to me.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention my favorite pitcher, but I do agree with you. Like, some of these guys are, like, it just seems like they're, it's so early on in the season, we don't really know what these guys are. So, like, Bieber could be back to 2 years ago, or he could be back to an average strikeout pitcher like last year. We don't really know. Still a great matchup. Really good price on DraftKings at 8.8. So definitely he's probably gonna be the highest owned pitcher. I have no issue with him. But I mean personally, my favorite pitcher is Yu Darvish on both FanDuel and DK. He's actually, he's gone through 2 starts. He's cheaper than Bieber and Castillo. According to our RG projections, he is projected for more points than Bieber and Castillo. He's the highest projected points pitcher on the entire slate. So, Darvish is my favorite pitcher. That's who I'm going to be starting off my builds with on both FanDuel and DK. And then I think the real decision comes down to Bieber, Castillo, or Bayo. I think you're absolutely right. Like, we don't want to pick on the Yankees, so I don't really have any interest with Zach Gallen. I don't have any interest with Logan Webb, despite his good ground ball skills. I think if you wanted to load up on some bats, it would be Javier Assad at 6.6 on DK. He would be my favorite cheap guy. But other than that, it's really just going to be Darvish, and then it's going to be one of Bieber, Castillo, Bayo, and Assad.
Tim, this isn't crunch time. This is an hour and 15-minute show. We got to stretch. You just gave out all your pitching takes in the first 2 minutes. We got to stretch this bad boy out as long as possible.
I know. I haven't been on a GrindersLive in so long. I'm used to crunch time.
What'd you do? Did you tell Devin you've had enough of me? Is that what happened? I don't know what happened there, but
I don't make the schedule, Dean.
I was taking it personal. By the way, speaking of Devin, producer Devin just went ahead and let people know about the Discord tournament that was just dropped today. Every single day we're doing something new as far as giving the people some premium. I see my nemesis True North in chat who keeps getting my movie questions correct. So shout out to True North getting that premium basically every single movie Monday. Today is Tournament Tuesday. And what does Tournament Tuesday mean? That means in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel, Devin has dropped it's just a $5 DraftKings contest, standard $5 DraftKings contest. I think it's 30, 35 people. I have not opened it up just yet. But if you happen to take that down, the additional value, two things for additional value. One, you get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium, which is spectacular, right? Not just baseball. You get all the sports. You get NBA, PGA, college basketball, NHL, who Tim is a big part of as well, MMA. You get all those sports, everything you can think of. I think CSGO as well. And you get a shout out in the show here the next day, which you can't put a price on that. That's just, I mean, I don't know what that would cost you if you slid into my DMs and say, hey, can you shout me out in the show? You can't. It's priceless for sure. So both those things are up for grabs. And just, go ahead and win the contest. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Live stream chat channel. The contest is posted. All right. Is your nicely done there, Steve, with the old Michael Jordan gif. Bobby, what do you have as far as today's slate? What is your overview before we kind of fully dive in? Obviously, we talk pitchers Spurs. We'll talk about stacks later. Other things, we talk about the lineups they're kind of sprinkling in on through. We'll keep you updated when it comes to weather, whatever's going on with the chat. We're kind of all over the place until we seamlessly segue to Crunch Time, which goes around the horn, gives the fair plays position by position, cash games, tournaments, and all that. But Bobby, what is your screenshot in your favorite sport, baseball, today?
Yeah, well, obviously for bats, we're not getting into them, but definitely love the Braves. We'll start with pitching, though. For me, I think Bieber, he's the ace up top that you want. I will say Bello versus Oakland, I'm going to have a lot of interest in. He would be, in terms of like the top of my list, he'd probably be second behind Bieber. Then from there, I think Yu Darvish. Like Yu Darvish's K-prop, he's like 6.5 strikeouts, plus 130. I like that. Like Tim said, he already made 2 starts. So I think that's interesting for him. Definitely have interest there. And I think Castillo's the upside guy. I will say Castillo's K-prop at 5.5 plus 100 isn't the greatest, but I think he does have the most ceiling on the slate from the pitchers 8K and above, I would say.
I'm pulling that up as far as the K-props you're kind of referencing. Castillo, I know it wasn't great opening day, and you never really want to take opening day for like too much, and some of these guys are still kind of figuring it out. I know Dave wrote in his column basically talking about how maybe you just need another day, another start to kind of get into, in-season mode, however you want to phrase that. His swinging strike rate was down a bit. I don't like that Darvish is kind of popular. He's just so old. I know it's his third start, and like pitch count is probably not an issue with him. Projected pitch count for him is somewhere 89, a little bit lower than Castillo, a little bit lower than Gallen. Gallen's a guy that can go like 100, I think, if you need him to go 100. Bayo, you mentioned. I thought Bayo was going to be the most popular guy you all talking about, and especially with the Boston ties in the matchup against Oakland. Or that ballpark is not great for strikeouts, just all that foul territory. Sometimes those foul balls turn into outs, which, you're not necessarily upset about an out, but you'll take sometimes the strike 2 and then the K on layaway. No Oakland lineup just yet, but they are, pretty vulnerable to the strikeout. The projected lineup, 26.7% striking out versus righties dating back to last season. That is just a really, really awesome number. So I like Bayo over Darvish. One of the angles I was trying to work is like trying to pick the stolen base guys against Darvish from a betting perspective, since we're talking about it. But I think the books are probably onto it. Darvish gave up 15, 20 stolen bases last year. He's given up 1 so far this year, and the Cardinals do have some speedsters. But it's taking a kind of peek in the sportsbook, see if I can get any angles on that. But nothing really popped for me. Might still get in on that. But yeah, Darvish, is he going to be the most popular pitcher, or is this just like a small sample thing, or it's kind of congested?
I think it's going to be Bello. I would imagine it would be Bello versus Oakland.
Yeah,
I would think
really close.
I think it's gonna be Bieber, but yeah.
It's funny because this is kind of perfect, right? Because we have it. Let me go ahead and rank it by projection. Yeah, Bieber 36%, Bayo at 34%, Darvish 32%, Castillo 25%, and that's kind of its own tier. Webb at 13%, which I think might even be lower than that, just because I think most people are just like, I don't want to pick on the Dodgers, and that's that. Lopez as the cheap guy against the White Sox, assuming weather is fine. His issue, I think, is mostly pitch count. He pitched out of the pen a lot last year. We're projecting him for 78, but it's kind of built into his price. Gallen at 10%, I think, is kind of interesting. Like the Yankees, you don't really want to pick on them, but they will strike out, right? Do we have a Yankee lineup just yet or no? I don't think we do. If we do, I missed it. Any Yankees just yet, Tim?
I'm looking right now. No.
Okay, so we're still waiting for, and we're dealing with a lot of like series out there on the West Coast, so lineups will become sprinkling up. We typically get a lot more at this time, but Dodgers are playing in 5 hours from now as far as first pitch, so no Dodgers just yet, no Giants just yet. I want to have that conversation about the Giants too, because the Groove Yarbrough thing and like somebody like Lamont Wade, would he just hit once if they start him against Michael Groove and he comes out after 2 or 3 innings? I think that's an interesting conversation because obviously there's you don't want a player that's just going to hit one time. And would they pinch hit for him the second time around if they're already on the lefties? Not sure. Oakland, no Oakland lineup just yet. But again, spoiler alert, it's going to stink. Boston, well, we're still waiting for that one. But again, West Coast, no Padres, no Cardinals, no Yankees or Guardians or Mariners or Blue Jays. Blue Jays probably waiting on Bichette, I'm guessing. I think he's dealing with a neck. I think he's got a neck. I'm pretty sure that's what his issue is. And some shame, too. The Blue Jays as a whole getting no hit last night. Just embarrassing stuff there for Toronto right at the gate. Other interesting lineup notes, by the way, Corbin Carroll not leading off, not playing today for the Diamondbacks. He's on the bench. Jock Jam's on the bench. Nestor Cortez, Nasty Nestor, the lefty. And that's another thing. If people are playing Blaze Alexander, they're loading up the righties here. I think there's just one lefty and McCarthy. I think Blaze Alexander, because he's cheap and he's batting second, I think that's bad chalk, I think, because I can see him not surviving this game, assuming this game is tight. The situation calls for it. Also, I'm going on a rant here, but you guys know Blaze Alexander, not fast. He's like a 45 on Fangraphs. Very disappointing. Like, he's not slow, but I thought your name is Blaze. You got to be a speedster, right? You're not a speedster, apparently. All right, just getting off the rails here just a little bit. Yeah, ownership wise, it's who are you saying? You're saying Bieber, Tim? Is that who you thought would be the most popular pitcher when everything settles?
That's what I think. Yeah,
I think so too. And I think Bieber's my favorites, and I'm buying in. I know the squad ride. The squad today was riding with Bieber over, I want to say 6.5 Ks was the squad ride pick. Go ahead and check out squad rides in the Discord as well. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. I think we've won 2 or 3 in a row. I say we, but collectively. Is it Britt? I think Britt's the one that's doing the picking right now, tailing that bet.
Still haven't got a squad rides invite, by the way. Just saying.
No, first of all, don't be a diva. You have to reach out. All of us have reached out and said, hey, give me an invite. You're talking about the squad. First of all, anybody can jump in the Discord one. That's available to the field, to the entire world. That's a free for all. But there's also in the Slack, you can jump in the squad ride conversation where there's a sort of like back and forth conversation on it. But yeah, you have to just reach out to Ross and Ross will hook you up. Like, I'm sure, Tim, is that what you did? That's what I did. I had no special treatment. But I
had to reach out. You got to reach out.
You want that red carpet, Bobby?
No, I'll reach out. I just keep forgetting. It's tough with 2 kids these days, I'll tell you. Oof.
I can't imagine, honestly. How's that working out? Things okay there in the household?
It's a lot of no sleep, but we'll make it through.
Yeah. Just checking in and see what the chat. Don Easy saying, imagine Dean not getting off the rails. Hey, that's part of the charm of the show, I suppose. I suppose that's a subjective take. Did anybody mention Assad? I think Assad was kind of mentioned in passing. And that's just sort of, if nothing else, are you throwing baseballs today? Yes. Are you throwing baseballs today against the Rockies? Yes. Okay, so I guess I am interested. Tim, I think you mentioned Assad, right? He feels like an interesting SP2 today.
He definitely is an interesting SP2. I wouldn't do it in cash games, but I would definitely do it in tournaments. I have not crossed them off my list in terms of single entry SP2. So it really depends on what kind of bats I want to land on. But yeah, I absolutely love Assad today. Like you said, you're pitching against the Rockies. It's really great pitching weather there also. So it's a really, really strong spot for Assad. So at 6,600, I think you could even pitch him on FanDuel at 6,200 if you really
I think
wanted
so
to just pay. Yeah. If you just wanted to pay up for all the bats. So he's definitely my favorite cheapie. I think that Ronaldo Lopez is going to get some traction also, just because he's pitching against the White Sox, which is also a fantastic matchup. I think I would definitely have him in my pool if I was building out 20 or more lineups, which I don't do. But if I did, I'd have a sprinkle of Lopez. I guess those two would be my primary cheap guys. But I think that's it really in terms of cheap stuff.
Bobby, let's kind of get this out of the way. It's important. I'm glad you brought this up, and we'll go back to Tim in a second. But Bobby, how many lineups are you making today? Because the perspective we come from is all different. I lean more Tim, where I'm not rolling out 10, 20, 30, 40 lineups. Just a couple of main ones. Bobby, what's the strategy? General strategy, and what are we attacking with the slate as far as today?
Yeah, I'm playing 24 teams. I play a lot of high dollar stuff in MLB. I don't really play the 15. I'll play the small field stuff. But for me, currently 24 lineups. Talking about Assad, it's cold in Chicago. I like Assad as my cheapie as a $6,600 pitcher. I do think Ronaldo Lopez is the pivot that the industry is going to. I think that Hauser, now we have yellow orange and Hauser at 6,800 versus Detroit.
Oh.
Roth's write-up basically says he's thinking the game will get delayed, start around 9 p.m. I like Hauser in this situation versus Detroit at low ownership for larger field tournaments. I definitely would have him in my pool as a low dollar pivot. But below 8K, it's mainly Assad, Ronaldo Lopez, because I'll be playing the Braves, and then Adrian Hauser that I'll be trying to get to the most.
Did Roth tweet? I don't see this update in the page.
No,
Did you get your own DM?
It was weather. It's just on the weather page.
Yeah, I'm still seeing orange. Tim, help me out here. Am I seeing the wrong page? What's going on? I'm hitting refresh.
I thought it was orange. I thought it was orange yellow earlier. So, orange, raining all day, eventually tapering off tonight. They could maybe late start and let things dry out a bit, then play at 9 p.m. Yeah. So in larger field stuff, I wouldn't mind having a little bit of Hauser if I was playing 150. I don't know if I'm going to have him in 24 teams though.
By the way, a side note, I'm pretty sure orange yellow is better pitching weather than straight orange.
It was orange yellow when I didn't refresh it, Dean.
Okay, but I'm saying, okay. I don't think you understand. All right. Never mind. I'm confused.
Are you guys surprised that Assad's only 7% projected owned on DK?
I think he's going to be higher than that versus the Rockies, right?
I do too.
In cold weather.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine him not being high. Rockies are on the road. We always want to attack Colorado when they basically leave Coors, or I don't know, in Coors, they haven't been great either. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. I think 7% is a little bit low. Even if that
doubles though, I would gladly be overweight him in GPPs. If he's only it'd be 14, 15%.
I don't know how this works. I don't know if you guys know either. The AI that kind of figures out, I don't want to even call it AI, but whatever it is, whatever the hamster wheel, Jamino, that figures out the ownership stuff. Does it factor in the potential weather and people are just not rostering for that reason? I don't know if that's something that's factored in. Maybe that's being factored in. Just sort of throwing that out there. Obviously the closer we get to lock, the more refined the number gets, but maybe that's the reason why it's kind of low. I've ignored Detroit and the Mets all day long because I thought the game wasn't going to play, and it still might. And it's still not great for the record. You guys kind of talking about the bad weather, bad ballpark too. Is that theory possibly? Is that something, Tim, or am I just making up a theory to justify why it's low?
Yeah, well, I was talking about the Colorado and Cubs game.
I was too. I was talking about both. Back and forth.
Well, I mean that's yellow green though, so I mean I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. The only thing I see an issue is Detroit and the Mets.
You're right. Yeah.
So
I goofed there.
That's the only game that I'm concerned about as a single entry player is the Mets game. The other ones I think are fine.
It's weird though, right? Because we're obsessed with weather in Chicago. Like, I shouldn't say obsessed, but wind means the most in Wrigley.
Yes.
And there is wind blowing out in Wrigley, but it's also 40 degrees and it's kind of a crosswind. It looks like it's going, left to right. Maybe it would help out the lefties a little bit, but we've also seen, this is a small sample, 13 games, a decrease in homers of 20%. And even Roth kind of wrote this up. I believe he wrote this. He was basically siding with the low temperatures means more than the winds blowing out. And that's kind of like where it sounds like you guys are landing as well. Winds are left to right out to 15 miles per hour. Again, I think the cold temps are a greater impact than winds and consider this good pitching weather. This is what Roth wrote earlier. He'll give his thoughts later on. Maybe things change, but yeah, so it's just sort of odd to see that because the winds are blowing out, but we're still on the pitcher because it's so freaking cold.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah. I like Assad. I'm going to be 2x the field probably.
He's not great for the record, but I don't know if it matters today. Yeah.
Playing Colorado and he's 6'6". Yeah.
21% strikeouts last year. Too many walks, but 9% walks, a little bit too high. Ground balls are pretty good, but again, he's basically a league average hitter, pitcher, more or less, and the Rockies are not league average. They're pretty bad. So I agree with that take that I think that Assad should probably be a little bit more popular. Who else is the chat thinking of when it comes to, let's see, Hammer is saying Assad's getting 25 DK points tonight. I don't know about that. Anything interesting as far as umpires? People love their umpire data. I saw people were asking about it yesterday, and it's a little bit tricky to do when it's the opening of series because sometimes those umpires change. So I don't want to focus too much on that on the beginning of a series. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But the extremes we have today, extreme pitchers umpire for Dodgers San Fran. That's the only extreme we have. Logan Webb, Tim, you're only making one or two lineups basically. You're probably not right. It's more of the decision point is, do I play Dodgers than do I roster Webb? I think that's, if I'm going to do one of those, I'm playing Dodgers first, but I'm not necessarily forcing Dodgers because Webb I respect. Your thoughts?
I think even if I was making 20, I wouldn't have any Logan Webb, to be honest with you. Not in this spot.
You feel the same way about that, Bobby?
Yeah, no Logan Webb for me. Even though Ohtani looked out of sorts last night, I in his third at bat, I just in pretty much the start of the year, I don't think he has a home run yet. But no Logan Webb for me versus that Dodgers All-Star team.
Sam says it's 55. Nice day in Chicago. I'm outside here now. Yeah, but we're talking first pitch temperature, which is what, 2.5 hours away.
I noticed that too in chat. It's going to get cold as the night progresses, right? So,
yeah, I appreciate the boots in the ground. It's a good thought, but the weather is going to change. Why are they talking about Pete Rose in chat? Oh, our favorite chatter has made an appearance, Broccoli Boy.
I know. I saw him. What's Pittsburgh? Who's going to Pittsburgh, Tim? Me and Dean didn't get an invite to Pittsburgh.
Where's my invite? Are we not going?
Yeah, Broccoli and I go to the Pirates game if they make the playoffs.
Is this like a pact you guys had, like the last 10 years or something like that?
Yeah. So last time when they were in the wild card game against the Giants, we went.
Is that why Johnny Cueto couldn't throw the ball? He dropped the ball on the mounds. That famous? It was so loud. It was a crazy scene. I think that was Pittsburgh, wasn't it?
All I remember, because I had a lot of beers, all I remember is Brandon Crawford hit a home run, and that was about it. So, yep.
I've been to maybe 15 ballparks, give or take. Pittsburgh. It's
amazing.
The one that's most impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The view is incredible. The backdrop is spectacular.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah. Are you a Pittsburgh fan, or you're just a good friend and you're like, yeah, you know what, Broccoli, you like Pittsburgh, I'll go with you.
Pirates fan. That's what I need to figure out. Is it Broccoli Boy or are you?
I'm a big yeah, well, I think we both were big Andrew McCutchen fans at the time. So that's how we got it. Huh? Why not?
I never liked McCutchen, to be perfectly honest.
I think he's great.
I thought he was overrated during that span of 2 years where everyone thought he was fantastic.
You always got to play him on Furry Day, though. That's a conversation we'll have later.
And then
I
was a big fan of AJ Burnett also. I'm trying to think back to the rest of that staff too.
AJ Burnett was in the Pirates. I remember Boston and the Marlins. Obviously, I forget him. I guess he was a Pirate for a couple of years, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Good for him. All right. Tell us your favorite ballpark in chat, by the way. Matt saying PNC Park is awesome. It is awesome. Bobby, you a Fenway guy? Old school Fenway guy? I assume you've been there a fair bit.
Fenway has the worst baseball park in the country by far.
You don't like nostalgia or tradition, apparently. Is that
No, not at all. I like to be comfortable. I don't understand why anyone would pay those fees to go to Fenway, drink $20 beers, sit in those small seats. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I want to sit in the on top of the out there in left field, on the monster. That seems kind of cool. That's a niche that like you can't get anywhere else.
That was good. I enjoyed that. I would do that again. Sit on the monster.
I got outvoted. The people I was with wanted to sit third base line, like fifth row or something like that. I'm like, how would you? We got to sit in the monster. But it was a democracy and we lost. Yeah, Will talking about the new Atlanta ballpark. That is spectacular too. It's really, really nice in Atlanta. A lot of stuff to do around the ballpark as well. They did a good job of making it kind of an event. Lots of advertisements. No surprising. Everywhere you look in that ballpark, you see Home Depot and it's lots of ads. And of course, you see the Freeze. Is that the guy's name? The Freeze that races some random person in the seventh inning, and it's a complete disaster every single time. It's definitely some fun amenities. And I think there's one of those things you can ride. Geez, what's the? I can't think of the term. You hold on and you sort of slide down. There's a term for that that's not coming to me. Somebody in the chat will let me know. Zip line. Thank you, producer Steve. That's what it's called. They have a zip line for the kids or the adults if you're feeling like having a good time. All right. Is there a pitcher that's going to be getting some ownership here, Bobby? That's just not going to be in your pool. You're running out 24 lineups and you're like, just X button and that's that.
I'm going to be under on Darvish the more I think about it. I just think that for some reason he's going to hit. He's going to be chalky for a lot of people, and he's just someone I want to be under on. I know the K prop's nice, but he'll be in my pool, but I'm just going to be under the field. What's he getting? We have him getting 31%, definitely coming in under on that.
Have you been swayed? I'm already kind of I think Darvish is fine, and I'm not besmirching, but we talked about this yesterday with St. Louis, and St. Louis I know kind of scuffled out the gate. They also faced the Dodgers, and the bats all of a sudden heated up yesterday when they change environment, they change opponent, and Darvish, he's 37 now. I'm not afraid of Darvish. I kind of like the Cardinals a little bit, if nothing else, and we've seen that K rate drop as the years have progressed for him. So yeah, I'm more on the Cardinal side. If I'm picking anybody, if you got to put me through the test, Darvish or Cardinals, I will take the Cardinals first. But Tim, I guess you're sticking. Darvish is still your number one, correct?
Yeah, I definitely don't like the Cardinals at all. If you don't want to pitch Darvish, I think that's fine, but I don't really like this Cardinals team for the bats.
Trying to see if you get any new lineups kind of sprinkling on through. This is kind of where we get them. My Twitter feed is just a bunch of basketball stuff coming in. Surprisingly, lots of players getting rolled out in basketball. Again, if you're here for basketball, stay tuned for you got Keith Eyster going to give you the walkthrough for basketball in about an hour or so, 50 minutes, crunch time coming in. Cardinals lineup did just drop, by the way. Donovan, Goldie, Contreras, Arenado, Burleson, Walker, Scott, Ciani, Wynn. Okay, so they split up the speedsters, and Scott now is up to the 7 spot. It's an awesome stolen base opportunity for him. If he gets on base, Darvish is really, really vulnerable to the stolen base. So he's still 2K on DK. So if I need a 2K cheapie, I'm not afraid to use somebody like Scott. Wynn can motor too. Although I've seen a couple times Wynn's did a sacrifice bunt, at least once, and possibly twice so far this season, to move Scott over. Just let the guy steal the base. There's no need to sacrifice him. That's a whole other conversation. I don't know who Ciani is. Do we know who Ciani is? Anybody?
I don't.
No idea.
Curious. All right, gonna see if that's a.
I didn't even see that lineup come in. Are you getting to any Valdez? Are you getting to any Valdez, Bobby, in 24 teams?
I'm off Framber currently. I do think that if I was playing 150, I would have some Framber, but currently I have 0. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? Like there's enough power there, especially the righties, Moreno, Christian Walker, Gurriel.
It's the Blue Jays.
It's the Blue Jays.
It's the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. I don't
Same
know
thing,
why.
basically.
Brain fart.
A lot of righty power. So, yeah.
A lot of righty power. No, yeah. I'm not playing any Valdez currently. Which I don't know. Like the Blue Jays got no hit yesterday. Maybe the Blue Jays bats I would have more interest in because no one's going to play any of these Blue Jays and everyone was trying to stack them up last night. So
Boston lineup just came out. Duran, O'Neill, Devers, Story, Reyes, Casas, Rafaela, Dahlback, and Wong. So I think that's what we expected, right? Unless I missed. That looks like what we expected. Oh, you know what? Yoshida's not in there. No Yoshida. So somebody sneaking in there for him. Is that Dahlback? Dahlback left on left was probably unexpected against Alex Wood. So Yoshida coming off the bench today. I guess it's just a day off. I don't think he's injured, far as I know. Are you thinking about some Framber? You kind of brought him up there, Tim.
I mean, not for myself, no, but I wanted to hear it from someone who plays multiple teams, what they thought. So, no, I'm not personally.
As somebody that watched this start last game, I shouldn't say you shouldn't overreact to one start, but he was terrible, and generally his control is really, really good. This is a guy who, his walk rate's pretty solid, the K rate's pretty solid. He was a quality start machine. He had, I think it was a record. I don't know if it was a record, but it was the longest streak that we had for a while. What is it, 22, 23, 24 straight games? I don't know if it was last year or the year before last year as far as quality starts, which you just don't see anymore. Like nobody else is like a quality start machine with the way pitch counts work and the way some of these guys are babied. 5 and change, they get the hook, but he was going 6 for 20 plus straight starts. So I know floor is like not a thing, right? Everybody, and especially in pitching, you could be negative. AJ Puck's floor is like -9. But he just feels like a quote unquote safe pitcher, and his ceiling is not incredible. But that's not the way it was last time. And he got really rescued by. Well, he's a ground ball machine too, so that's not surprising. His ground balls bailed him out. A bunch of double plays he turned against New York. The Hammond, Bayo, and Valdez, those are our ground ball specialists on this slate. Pulling it up last year, Webb is the best number, 62%. Bayo at 55 and change, and Valdez at 55% also. But yeah, if Bichette's going to be in that lineup, it's a little bit tougher, I suppose. And if he's not in there, it makes it a little bit easier. Is there any sort of? I guess we're waiting on Toronto because I assume it's Bichette holding them up. His neck.
I would assume that's correct.
Yeah, I don't think we see a lineup on that just yet. Junis was just pulled after 47 pitches. I'm not. I didn't. You guys got any live props out there? There's some games going on right now in the afternoon. I did not partake. Anything interesting?
I don't have any
baseball-wise right now.
I don't have any bets going right now.
Just one game. Yeah, just one game. Minnesota taking on the Brewers. Brewers up 3-1 in the bottom of the 6th. We saw a Yelich homer. Shout out to Yelich. All right, back on track as far as this. We care about this slate and this slate only. We don't care about earlier today, obviously. Let's give a summary as far as the pitchers. For those that are just tuning in, Bobby, you're making 24 lineups. The pitcher you're going to be most over, the pitcher you're going to be most under as far as ownership stuff. And maybe, I guess I was going to say there's one guy you're taking a stand on. I suppose that kind of answers the same question, the one you're most over. But yeah, your synopsis when it comes to pitching tonight.
Yeah, I'm currently most over on Bello versus Oakland. Bieber would be my number 2. Castillo 3. Darvish, I'm going to be under the field. Assad, I'm going to try to get it into my lineups. And like I said, if we got clarification that this game was safe and it was going to start late, there wasn't going to be any interruptions, I'd like Hauser for the Mets versus Detroit a little bit. But that's more of a 150 play, and you're pretty much taking a shot.
So looks like we got an update here from Roth. The Mets are now orange-yellow, which is slightly better than straight orange. I'll go ahead and read it. I'll go ahead and drop it in chat as well. Rain gradually taping off tonight. They can start on time if they want to play in light rain, or more likely, late start for a couple of hours and play dry. I don't see any need for them to postpone. Once this first batch of rain clears, they are dry until midnight or so. So that tells me that, it seems really likely the game is going to play. If not at 7 o'clock, they'll wait a little bit. Okay. I thought the game wasn't going to go, but okay. Now we have to acknowledge it. I haven't really considered Hauser. Tell me why you like Hauser. Is this another kind of Assad thing where it's not that Hauser's particularly good here, Bobby? It's just that Detroit. Baltimore good. Yeah.
Detroit's bad, right? And obviously I think people are going to try to get to, I know our ownership says 7% on Assad, but I think that might come up into the teens. Not that it's like a pivot, but I think I think he's someone that you could pivot off of Assad for in larger field tournaments to Hauser. Just depends on if we think the game plays or not. Yeah, that's my thought process. It's Detroit. And
the K rates are really, really good, by the way.
Yeah.
As far as if you look at Plate IQ, the first 5 hitters, and 6 doesn't count because Cole Keith is a rookie and he has no numbers really. So we can even skip him theoretically. I don't know what his minor league numbers are. I know he's a bit of a prospect there for Detroit, but every single one of these guys you're striking out at least at a minimum 24% versus right-handers dating back to last season. Now Hauser doesn't really strike guys out, 20%. That's what we're looking at. 20% strikeout rate, 21% versus lefties, 19% versus righties. Tim Hauser, you're probably not playing Hauser because you're only making one lineup, but I think you would probably introduce him if you're making a bunch more.
I would introduce him, but I still prefer like Lopez and Assad more. But yeah, I don't have an issue with Hauser.
By the way, I see in the chat you're going to be Tim. You're going to be on the Morning Grind tonight, and it's my understanding it's an anniversary show. It's the Morning Grind anniversary show.
No. The anniversary show, I believe, is tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. Don Yeezy said he's got a secret guest on Morning Grind anniversary.
There's a secret guest.
Yeah, it might. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but somebody may have gotten an invite. No, I didn't get invited. I'm sad.
I know who it is.
Is it Speed?
I have a guess. I definitely have a guess, but I can't say. But is it are lines posted in DK Sportsbook? Can I wager on this?
We should be tweeting this and post some lines for the people.
Who does Shohei's interpreter like? I guess we don't want that because we probably want to be on the other side of that.
We don't want that.
Yeah, but I'm still waiting for my Stevie. If you're listening, I might be available. Like, is it like midnight or so when he records? 11 o'clock in the middle of the night when he's doing his recording.
10 Eastern.
Yeah, the chat's putting their bets in as well, and it seems like CJ is the chalk. But I don't know if anything's been leaked. But you probably can only get like $20 down. You probably can't like load up on it as far as the books that they're going to be onto you. That's a way to get red flagged for sure. But okay, anything else as far as pitchers? Tim, do you want to give your final thoughts before we talk about some stacks?
No, I mean I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to go with Darvish as my SP1 on both FanDuel and DK, and then SP2 for DK. A little bit up in the air with that right now. Leaning towards Bieber. Might go Assad. I think I'm narrowing it down between Bieber and Assad.
By the way, we didn't mention this, but no Gorman makes things life easier for Darvish. Not sure. Gorman was one of my favorite bats on the St. Louis side, and I guess that's who Mike Ciani is playing for. I did pull up Mike Ciani on the fly here, the 8th ranked prospect on this team. He's 24 years old. Has he ever played Major League Baseball before? He had a cup of coffee in 2022. He had 24 plate appearances, uneventful. And he's had one at bat this year, it looks like. So, but I don't think he's not a lot of power. He's got speed. He's got a 60 speed. So maybe if you can get like a sneaky bet on him stealing a base, if he gets on, maybe he goes. I don't know if he's in the player pool. He probably is. He's probably 2K. I've not pulled it up just yet, but yeah, that makes Darvish a little bit better, the absence of Nolan Gorman, because I thought Gorman was a pretty strong play. Let's pivot and talk about stacks. Before we do that, I do want to mention you're watching and you're seeing the fabulous lineup HQ tool on the screen that Steve is showing off here, and you want to be able to use that at your own leisure. Well, one way you can do it is you can win RG Premium. How do you win RG Premium? You get yourself over the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord, jump in the live stream chat channel, and join that $5 contest, win that contest, and we'll hook you up with RG Premium and give you a shout out on the show the next day. Or, again, never a better time. It's not just baseball. You get football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, and golf. I'm sure I missed something as well. The 6-month combo subscription deal still going on. Exclusive price of $469.99. Now, if you were to every single month pay the monthly fee, you're going to pay $250 more. So if you want to pay month by month, by all means, you're happy to do so. If you want to do that, go for it. Enjoy yourself. Or if you want to commit for 6 months, you get $250 off with that specialty price. Or if you don't like commitment, you just want a 3-day test drive, $19.99. You get yourself a 3-day pass. Also want to mention SimLabs, the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs. It's now available in MLB beta. You've probably used this for basketball. Now you can check it out in baseball. It is currently in beta, which means just a few clicks, you get hundreds of well-built correlated lineups for whatever contest you're playing. If you want to play a single entry contest, you want to play large field stuff, you can be as ambitious as you want to be with the sliders, add as much variance as you want. Try SimLabs beta. Now, currently, it is free. It might not be free tomorrow or a week from today. I have no idea when they're going to pull the plug. That is above my pay grade and, just out of my realm, but it is currently free. Have at it. I assume that's the link for that will either be in the description, or we can get producer Steve to go ahead and drop it in chat. Let's go ahead and rank stacks, and we're going to do this in kind of a fun way on the fly. Bobby, I don't know if you saw, you were in the conversation. I was talking to Tim earlier today, and you were there. And, we're going to power rank the stacks that are available for tonight's slate. And, Tim loves his fun, right? So whatever I said, Tim, tell me some things that are fun. And I may have thrown them things his way too. Obviously the things that are up the highest are the most fun. The things that are down the lowest are the least amount of fun. And the most fun things, what's fun is when your stack goes off, right, Bobby? When your stack goes off, that is a lot of fun. We like that. So with that in mind, we're going to power rank our stacks, on this slate. If Tim loves his yoga's number one, which by the way, I just learned that today. That is a fun fact. That legitimately, threw me off. I have follow-up questions that I'll ask you at a later date, Tim, but I'm curious. But that sounds like fun for sure. He does not like doing his taxes. That's not a lot of fun. Hence, that's not a fun stack. So, Bobby, you see how this works, right? You see it on the screen. You're following along.
I see how it goes. Yeah, I'm in agreement with this list, by the way. Yoga's definitely one. Movies Alone is 2. Movies Alone is I love Movies Alone. That could be 1. But yeah, I don't know. Walk the dog, mowing the lawn, doing taxes. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Follow along.
Yeah. I wanted to make it specific to Tim and his love of fun or disdain of fun, depending on how you look at it. And we're going to go through all the teams, every team that's playing on the slate, and we're going to put them in the rightful column. And let's go ahead and start with the earliest games, right? So let's go ahead and talk about the Detroit Tigers. Detroit's taking on the Mets. Adrian Hauser, not great weather, terrible ballpark, not a great lineup. Apparently they are undefeated, I'm being told in chat, which I was not aware. They must be winning low-scoring games. Bobby, where would you put Detroit?
Was that about the Pirates?
I thought it was about Detroit. Are the Pirates undefeated too?
Detroit.
They swept the Marlins. I know that.
Yeah, they're undefeated.
Well, they beat the Marlins. Come on.
They're 5-0.
But it's the Marlins. I mean, I guess they're 5-0, and good for you, and good for Brock. Don't reserve your playoff ticket just yet for Pittsburgh.
All right, don't buy him yet. Okay.
Yeah. What's the dude, the pitcher, the number one prospect, Skeens? What's the guy's name that's coming up at some point? I'm forgetting his name, but there are more players coming for Pittsburgh later on in the season. But and then W's are nice. Compile those up against the terrible Marlins. But let's not Paul Skeens. Thank you, Matt. I knew I was close. But yeah, he looks like he's going to be legit when they ever call him up. But let's knock out Detroit, Bobby. You guys, I want you guys to discuss it, right? Unless you might agree. But where would you put Detroit, Bobby? And maybe Tim would disagree with you.
Detroit for me is below doing taxes. I don't want to play any Detroit.
I would have to agree with that. Also, I don't want any.
Do we even put them? How do you even put them on? Oh, okay. I see what's going on. Yeah, they're doing taxes. We're not playing Detroit.
How about the Mets? And producer Steve we're going to torture producer Steve because he's a Mets fan, and they've kind of stumbled out the gate. Oh, there you go. He's putting him right at the top.
No way.
He's not even going to let you.
No way. Dude, they're doing taxes as well. No Mets.
Yeah,
no Mets.
They're at the bottom.
Poor polar bear. You never know when you're going to get a polar bear attack or two polar bear attacks. So certainly he's like in the pool, like an interesting one-off. Casey Mize, like who knows? Like he's a huge question mark. Obviously, at one point he was one of the biggest prospects in all of baseball from an arm perspective. He had a horrible injury. He's working his way back now, and theoretically he'll be good or close to as good as he was once expected to be. Good ballpark to pitch in. But Tim, we're throwing the Mets down at the bottom, and that's that. Moving on.
Yep.
Okay. It's getting crowded down there as far as doing taxes. How about, Tim, you can lead this one, the Braves. Always the Braves, right? Like you just play a Braves stack every single night. They are facing Garrett Crochet, who was awesome his first start and good for him. And, there's a pedigree. He's got a live arm, but it's a good ballpark to hit in. I think they have a weak bullpen there in Chicago. Now, there is tricky weather. We talked about the Cubbies having tricky weather. Similar to Chicago. Let me give us a refresh. So there's winds blowing out to center at 15 to 20 miles per hour, but I'll take the temps in that battle and call it better pitching weather than hitting weather. When I say I am Kevin Roth. I'm reading his article because the temperature is expected to be not right now, but at first pitch as the game progresses in the 40s. And that's not good for hitting baseballs.
Nope.
That said, Tim, the Braves are really good at hitting baseballs. So what are we doing with Atlanta?
They're like between the top and the second top for me. They would have been my top, but it's so cold there. I don't want them to be. So I guess I put them in the movies alone category.
I might have an argument with this because if I was single, yoga would be 1. But movies alone for me with kids is 1. And I like the Braves as 1.
So yeah, to be clear, you're arguing not necessarily the placement of the Braves. You're arguing how the categories were arranged. How yoga should be 2.
I know, but I'm still arguing Braves as 1. Like I love the Braves tonight. But anyways, movies alone would be my 1. We can go with yoga, I guess. I would put Braves at 1 for me. I guess leave them at movies alone, but they would be movies alone is 1 for me. So the Braves are 1 for me. Yeah.
What was the last movie you saw alone? Or it's just been too long because of dad life?
If you can do anything alone when you're a father, it's unbelievable. It's literally incredible. So what was the last? I don't know. I watched Snowden the other night when I was waiting for my kid to wake up, and that was pretty good. Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher? Who stars? Is that who it is? Who's Snowden?
No, the kid who plays Robin in Batman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who is Kutcher? Kutcher plays the Apple guy, I think. That's what I'm getting confused with. Tim Apple. What's the guy's last name?
Don't recall.
Tim Cook. Thank you, producer Steve.
Is it Tim Cook? Tim Cook was the CEO. Is it someone? I don't know. Maybe.
I think doesn't he play? Yeah, I'm fairly certain. Doesn't matter. That's for a different power ranking thing we're doing. All right, White Sox versus Ronaldo Lopez. I mean, feel free to whoever wants to jump in here and just make it.
Doing taxes.
Very bottom. Put them at the bottom.
Doing taxes.
But we were beholden to 5 categories. We couldn't. I know, Tim, you were talking about you put in between 1 and 2. 5 is the number. There's not a lot of wiggle room. It's got to be 5. So that's why we have 5. And Tim, you're good with that? You're good with 5? Oh, going? We're changing colors. What's going on here? Do we have to pay for a service out of nowhere? Okay, we're good to go. The Rockies, we've already besmirched the Rockies plenty. Steve Jobs. That's who I was thinking of. Thank you.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Rockies. Does anyone want to play Rockies outside of Coors in bad weather in Chicago?
No.
Taxes?
They're 5. Definitely
they're
5.
Outside of Doyle, I think, or is it Jones? Who is it? Who's the Rocky that I like? You
probably like Nolan Jones a little bit.
Nolan Jones, taxes. They're pretty much taxes outside of Nolan Jones.
The Cubbies taking on Kyle Freeland. Kyle Freeland, not a pitcher we're afraid of. I kind of like the Cubs a little bit. I just really hate this weather, but it is what it is. But I'm not here to sway. This is your board. I'll let Tim,
the Cubs
start the Cubbies.
The Cubs run line moved up a run. Sorry to cut you off, Dean. I think the Cubs might be pretty popular. I like Morrill a good bit. I think there's definitely some plays within the Cubs offense. Yeah, walk the dog. Just walk the dog. I think that makes sense.
Tim, good?
I'd go higher. I'd go movies
I knew you were
alone.
going to go higher.
Let's skip the Blue Jays for now, just because I don't think we have a lineup just yet. We could speak on it if we need to in a pinch. We did get the Guardians: Kwan, Jimenez, Ramirez, Jay Naylor, Freeman, Brennan, Bo Naylor, Hedges, Rococo. For Cleveland, Mariners out as well: Crawford, J-Rod, Polanco, Haniger, Garver, Raleigh. Got both catchers in there: France, Canzone, and Rojas. I think that's pretty standard, right? Unless I'm missing somebody on first look. Oh, Joel Embiid's playing tonight. That's cool. Good to see. All right. First Miami, I believe. Let's talk about the Astros. The Astros taking on Jose Barrios. Jose Barrios, we didn't mention him, but he's like kind of like, I think he's right in that sweet spot of like pitcher you don't necessarily want to roster, but you don't necessarily want to pick on, right? But the Astros, I'll pick on anybody with the Astros for sure. Tim, where are you at as far as Houston?
I don't think they're going to get much ownership, so that moves them up the list for me to movies alone for me.
Bobby?
I'll probably walk the dog for me on the Astros.
Why the slight downgrade?
I don't know. How many teams can I put up top? Arizona, I keep going back to Arizona. I like Arizona righties. I like Braves. I like the Yankees, like the Dodgers. I don't know. Movies, I would just do. I don't love the Astros tonight. I know they went off last night, but I'm going to get off. I actually think the Blue Jays are sneaky in tournaments tonight.
We'll talk about them in a second. OKC. That's right. I stand corrected. Miami is taking on New York. OKC is taking on Philadelphia. You'll have more basketball takes coming up in about a half hour or so when you got Keith Eyster coming in, as well as Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood talking some baseball. We did, according to the chat, we did get a Toronto lineup. Did I just miss it? There it is. Yeah, Bichette's back.
Got it. Yep.
Springer, Guerrero, Bichette, Turner, Schneider, Alejandro Kirk, Clement, IKF, and the outlaw Kevin Kiermaier. So I think that is as expected. If we expected Bichette to hit that lineup. So where are we putting the Blue Jays, Tim?
I don't know. I would guess I put them mowing the lawn. I mean, they have decent pieces, but I'm not looking to full stack them.
Bobby?
Yeah, they're a secondary stack for me. Probably mowing the lawn too, but I do think they're above all this trash at doing taxes, I guess.
Cleveland, it's just not one of my favorite stacks just because they don't have a ton of power necessarily, and I don't really want to pick on Luis Castillo. I'm not trying to sway the judges here, but not really on Cleveland.
They're definitely at the bottom.
Bobby, doing taxes?
I'm doing taxes, yep, for Cleveland.
Do we want to pick on the Beebs? How do we feel about Seattle, boys?
Doing taxes for me. No interest in Seattle.
No interest. I think there's some really, really clear cross-off teams on the slate.
B-Shot says, how long is this bit? Well, we're doing every team on the slate, and we're talking about the stacks. This is basically talking about every single stack on the entire slate. So it's not necessarily, it's kind of a bit, but like disguised as content. Like this is the stacks we like tonight. So you can interpret it however you like. But we need Kirkwood to come in and do his gutless power rankings when he comes on next time. That'll just be like
Can we move the Braves up to yoga? Just so it's clear that they're the best stack on the board.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
They're not my favorite.
Have we not seen your favorite just yet, Tim, or is your favorite like Houston or Chicago?
We haven't mentioned it yet.
In chat, by the way, somebody says mowing the lawn should be higher. I love it. Who loves mowing the lawn? That's an interest. It must be one of those like you could sit on and chill. Like that. I think it's a little different experience. Maybe I'm wrong. Tim, when you mow the lawn, are you sitting down or you standing up?
I'm standing up.
Yeah. Okay. but I never really thought people loved mowing the lawn. But okay, fair enough. Izzy says he loves mowing the lawn as well. Is that today's poll question? How do you feel about mowing the lawn? Like it, love it, hate it, indifferent? There you go. There is Eric saying the ride mower is the best. Okay, yeah. Bobby, are you a pro mowing the lawn?
I live in the city, Dean. I live in the city. We don't have a lot of grass.
Mowed a lawn, since 1972 or whatever. But all right, we knocked out Cleveland. We knocked out Seattle. We have 4 more teams to go. Although we're still waiting for the Giants and the Dodgers. I think, Tim, did you say that the best team we've not yet talked about? I feel like you said that. Is it Arizona possibly? Arizona a little different as far as our lineup. No Corbin Carroll. Marte Blaze Alexander batting second. Gurriel, Walker, Suarez, Moreno, Barossa, McCarthy, and Perdomo. I would just say, man, when Nestor's out of this game, Carroll's coming in. Is Carroll dealing with an injury? I don't think he is, unless I missed something. And jock jams. Like once a righty comes in, I'm just a little cautious about some of those Arizona guys might get the hook. Blaze Alexander and Barossa especially. I've not looked at the pinch hit risk according to the bat, but I bet those are, I feel like those are potentially high. Diamondbacks, Tim, what do you got?
Yeah, I'd put them walk the dog. I think it's a good call by you that some of these guys might get the hook. So I put them right in the middle.
I like the righties as a secondary. I'm fine with walk the dog. Cortez, Moreno, Gurriel. Those would be the guys that I'd be interested in. Versus Cortez, not Valdez. I mixed that up earlier in the show. Just the righty power, I think, makes a lot of sense versus Cortez. So for me, those guys are fine as like secondaries in the walk the dog slot.
Where do you got the Yankees, Bobby?
I like the Yankees a little bit. I think that they're probably movies alone for me. Judge, Oswaldo, Torres. I'm fine with the Yankees as a full stack. I think a lot of people are gonna overlook them tonight.
Dodgers lineup just dropped. Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, Hernandez, Outman, Lux, Enrique Hernandez. Lux jumped up to the 8 spot. We had him projected in the 9. Jason Hayward was scratched yesterday and is not starting today against Webb. So who's in there that we did not anticipate? It's probably, no, we had Lux, Hernandez, right? Yeah, we didn't have Hernandez in there. He's hitting the 9 spots. But Dodgers, the main guys are in there for LA. Still waiting for San Fran's lineup and waiting for the Yankees. Bobby, what do you got as far as the Yankees? What tier would you put the Yankees in tonight? No lineup just yet, though.
I would put the Dodgers and Yankees in movies alone. Just because Logan Webb for the Dodgers, but we know the Dodgers' talent. So for me, the Dodgers are always viable, but it's just tough to stack against Webb. The Yankees would be in a similar situation versus Gallen. The roof's open. I like the Yankees stack a little bit as contrarian. I don't think people are going to play them versus Gallen. I think they're fine as a secondary or some 5-mans. That would pretty much be it. I do think the Cubs versus Freeland, even though that line has moved significantly on their implied team total, I might be a little bit more under on the Cubs the more I think about it, just because he's another guy like Webb that I don't like stacking against. I don't want to move the Cubbies, but I think they should be where they're at. But if it was my own personal thing, I'd probably have them at walk the dog.
We got to halt the show and ask Tim about this. He's dropping dimes here in the chat. I used to fire up the rider at night drunk and mow the lawn. My neighbors would get so mad. What year are we talking? Like, how late are we talking, Tim? What are we like? It's like 3 a.m. where we're firing up the lawnmower.
This would have been between 2007 and 2009. Yeah.
What is? Can I just? I don't want to get to. Was this when you were running the restaurant? Because the restaurants could burn you out, and like that's probably sort of like, or no.
No, this is before that. Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I really did do that.
Often, restaurants can definitely run you.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, by the way. Your neighbors are right. You have a little bit of respect. We live in a society, Tim. Like, come on.
I know. Oh well. We all got through it, Dean. We all got through it. So
they still are trying to catch up on their sleep because of you. I'm being told in chat. This is the first time I think we've referenced BDP, the old batter versus pitcher data. Apparently, Max Muncy has banged out 3 homers versus Logan Webb. So there you go. I did pull it up here on the fly. 8 hits and 22 at bats, 4 singles, a double, 3 homers. Could have used a homer from Muncy last night. He's been. That's just what Muncy is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the two Houston Astros with the Dodgers, like the 2 double dong guys with the Dodgers stack, and just kind of waiting for Muncy. And one of these days he'll bang out a couple homers when you least expect it. Maybe it's tonight. I don't know. But Bobby, you're a big BBP guy. I think you are, at least a proponent to some extent.
I'm a proponent to some extent. Yeah, I think it's viable in some situations. I like that BBP for Muncy. Honestly, it's tough stacking against Logan Webb. It's not something I like to do, but Muncy, Ohtani's going to get going. Betts is the best player in baseball. Teoscar, and I like the back end of this. Like Teoscar's already has 5 home runs in this order. I like a good bit of the Dodgers probably as like tertiary stacks, like secondaries, but I think you can 5-man them too. I don't think I'll have many 5-mans due to the fact that Webb is pitching and he's not someone I like to attack. I usually like to attack Webb versus good offenses. The Dodgers are just something a team I just don't think you can go there.
Arenado, by the way, 3 homers versus Darvish and 20 official at bats. If you care about such things, 5 singles, 3 homers, 8 for 20. Big sample size. Jose Abreu versus Jose Barrios. They've had 61, matchups, and Abreu's got 3 homers against him now, 17 strikeouts as well. All this stuff might be just silly and nonsense, but you never know. I kind of agree that like sometimes it means something and sometimes it doesn't, but it's also like I'm not sure how to figure out when is which one, like what column it falls in. I look at the exit velocity and things like that, but I've not dug into it for these specific players. Unless you got anything as far as BBP wise, Tim, by all means, we can move on and talk about. We just knocked out the Yankees, which means let's see who is next. I just hit a refresh as far as our list. We're still power ranking the Cardinals, right? We got the Cardinals still. Have we done the Cardinals? I don't think so. Tim, Cardinals?
I have them doing taxes because I love Darvish tonight.
Okay, Bobby, you good with that?
I like mowing the lawn for the Cardinals. I do think that their lineup takes a hit with Gorman will not seeing the lineup, so I do mowing the lawn. Dean, you can break the tiebreaker.
Mowing the lawn. I agree with you. Padres versus Michaelis. Michaelis, just a strike thrower, man, and he's not going to miss bats. So certainly the Padres are live. It's just, are they going to hit the ball at players? Are they going to find the holes? I don't know. But I think San Diego is pretty interesting tonight. I'll let you start this one, Bobby.
Yeah, for me, currently, I'm not getting a ton of San Diego outside of Cronenworth and Machado. I think they're walk the dog stack. I think that's where I'd put them.
Tim?
They are my yoga stack.
There it is.
Yep.
Ooh.
They are my favorite stack of the night.
Tell me why.
They're gonna be solo owned. They're all in single digits. Miklos cannot strike out anybody. So really, like if Atlanta is gonna be super chalky or Chicago, I'd much rather pivot to San Diego against Miklos. So I want to take the ownership discount and play the Padres.
I like that call as well. I would be okay landing on the Padres if they happen to be like my main stack, or if I'm splitting them with another team on my main team. I'm good with that. Always happy to pick on the Lizard King that is Miles Michaelis. Cut more teams before he knocked us out and finished the board. Again, I think it's just useful to see all the teams to see how we have it ranked. Obviously, I have a little bit of fun here with the fun thing, but it's really obvious like where we're at as far as our favorite stacks. The A's, do I need to ask? A's?
Doing taxes.
Definitely doing taxes.
I got to ask Bobby about his Red Sox, Bobby.
They are my second yoga stack, just because I really like Trevor Story tonight. And I do think that shortstop's a very weak position outside like Mookie Betts and Story. I don't really think there's a ton that I like. Tatis, obviously. But they're my when the Red Sox are bad, I like the Red Sox. Everyone thinks the Red Sox are going to be terrible. I like them. When everyone thinks they're good, I usually don't like them. So I like the Sox this year. We're going to go yoga stack.
You going to push back on that, Tim, or you agree?
I would go movies alone, but they're really strong tonight, I think.
I would probably put them in the second tier as well, but I do like them. And, you're locked in for 9. It's a bad ballpark, obviously, but I do agree with Bobby. I like some of the individual pieces. O'Neill, it doesn't matter what ballpark he's in. When he gets a hold of it, it's going to go. Devers left on left versus Wood, but Wood's not going to go deep, right? And pretty good chance he sees at least 2 bullpen arms and possibly 3 and just 2 at-bats versus Wood. So, yeah, absolutely. If you're playing Boston stacks, do not be afraid of the left on left there. San Fran. Let's talk about San Fran versus what basically is going to be a bullpen game here for the Dodgers, right? We're expecting Groove to start, Yarbrough to follow him. And then who knows? And they're probably going to match up. Tim, Lamont Wade, is he going to start and just get pulled when Yarbrough comes in? What are they going to do
For me, they're doing taxes tonight because I can't play any of them on one team. Someone like Bobby could potentially play some Giants. They're in an okay spot, but I can't play them. So
I just completely X'd them.
You did? Okay.
Completely X'd them because I thought about it. It's a bullpen game. You have to worry about pinch hit risk, and I just don't want to think through all that. So doing taxes makes sense.
It is a new manager in San Fran. Just want to note that. So maybe their pinch hit tendencies will fall back a little bit, but this does also sort of suggest it could be a pinch hitting situation. I think Soler is an interesting one-off. I don't mind Chapman, but I'm not stacking. Maybe a little mini stack of guys that quote unquote, are not going to be leaving. And let's knock out the Dodgers. Dodgers, Bobby. What do you got as far as the Dodgers tonight?
Yeah, Dodgers for me, probably movies alone. I just can't bring myself to bring that lineup any lower than that. I know it's Logan Webb. I know they're going against Logan Webb. You don't want to stack 5-mans versus Logan Webb. I just can't not play Dodgers ever. So yeah, I'm gonna be over on some of these Dodgers. Mookie, Teoscar, Muncy.
Tim?
Yeah, they're middle of the road for me. Logan Webb actually has a really, really, really high opto rate tonight. So we like Logan Webb a little bit. So Dodgers, middle of the road, number 3 for me.
Being told here in chat, Casey's telling us that Brassier is going to be drawing the start here for LA, and that might be the case. And I just did a refresh, and it is Brassier. And he's probably not going to go deep. He threw, let's see, on the first, he threw 17 pitches. So he threw 17 pitches yesterday. He is a righty. So, yeah, Lee's almost definitely going to lead off today for the Giants. Wade will be up there. But, the plan is, as far as we know, unless something changed, that the lefty Yarbrough comes in, and then if and when San Fran does their lefty, swaps, that can lead to a dicey situation. And it just doesn't seem very necessary. But again, I'm not making enough lineups. Tim's not either, and even Bobby kind of Xing out the Giants. Just hard to get there. And the matchups are probably going to be in the Dodgers' favor. They're going to be smart about lefty righty stuff. And yeah, team total under 4. And none of it really seems necessary. Certainly goofy things can happen in its baseball, and the Giants can put up a 15 spot, and so be it. Move on to tomorrow. I wonder, anybody in the chat, what do they think of this board? They could take a step back. We're looking at the board as far as our favorite stacks. Anything stand out? That's just wrong? 100% agree, 100% disagree with something? I'm curious if they have any official takes. What are we seeing here, Bobby? A lot of nonsense at the bottom. Are you happy? Obviously you got a hand in it. You happy with the way everything looks here?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think I'd drop San Diego down 1 and probably the Cubbies down 1. But I get why they're at where they're at.
Is he telling us the Diamondbacks are too low? Tim, your thoughts here?
I think it looks pretty good. Definitely on the bottom. I love the teams that we threw out. That was pretty easy. But yeah, definitely could make an argument to put some of those top ones in different spots. But yeah, I like it for the most part.
Zion's left shoe says, I love San Diego. Was that the shoe that broke when he played for Duke? Was it his left shoe when he broke in the middle of the game? Is that what the reference is going on there? Because I love that screen name.
That's a great screen name.
That's so random. But I think that's what's being referenced there. I got a 50-50 shot of being correct on that. Christian is saying the Tigers are too low. Several people are on Arizona. I should mention myself, Kirkwood, who's hanging out in chat, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, who's knocking on the door, in the bullpen coming in shortly, and Squirrel Patrol. We all ranked our favorites, our top five stacks, and consensus-wise there. Kind of surprising if you look at our board. is the Cubbies. Cubbies number 1 consensus-wise, Atlanta number 2, Houston number 3, Padres 4, Dodgers 5, Yankees 6, Boston 7, Arizona, San Fran, and somebody ranked the Rockies 5. Somebody really, really, really smart ranked the Rockies 5. But let's warm up the bullpen. Let's get to Kevin Roth. Let's get to Keith Eyster. Let's get to Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. Let's bring on crunch time. I don't know what happened there. I'm still working on the lead in to crunch time. Hey, Roth, I want to shout you out. Well, yesterday you were talking about the women's basketball. I presume you watched. I presume you have some thoughts on it. But the RotoGrinders tournament, I don't know if you saw this posted. You're, did March Madness. They did a March Madness bowl for the men's, March Madness bowl for the women. You're currently in 3rd in the women's bracket. Are you aware of this?
I was first when the day started. I must have got one of those wrong. Damn it. Damn.
You're still on the podium. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'll take it. Thank you. And how amazing was that game? Like, who here watched it?
I watched some of it. So are we raising hands?
Were we the only 2 of the 6 of us who watched it? Are you guys freaking kidding me?
Dave wasn't aware it even existed until last night.
Yeah, Kevin told me it existed, but we had some other things to watch. So
it was the best sporting event that I've seen since the Super Bowl. It was just phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
What has happened between the Super Bowl and now?
Not a lot. Just some basketball games, really. Yeah.
Spring training.
Yeah.
What were you doing, Tim? Well, you couldn't. Were you mowing the lawn? What were you up to?
Not watching that game. I didn't even know it was happening. I didn't even know it was happening.
Kids to watch. All right, but yeah, no. So Roth, I haven't seen the numbers on it, but I imagine that the ratings are going to be through the roof and going forward as well. And it's cool. It's good. They're getting some publicity, and it seems like the WNBA is going to get better and better. And maybe we'll start talking a little more WNBA DFS. I know that is a thing that does exist. Do you do projections for that, Keith, by chance? There's somebody else's tasked with WNBA project. That's not you, is it?
That is definitely not me. I believe we have them, though. It's probably Tuttle is the one that does them.
I'm going to start doing them tomorrow or whenever it's needed.
What's funny?
I wouldn't be surprised if you played that, Dave, because you do all the niche sports. You knock them all out.
Wouldn't be surprised either.
What I find to be interesting about it is like there are still some women who are like starters who are so bad. They're like boofing layups and they look so bad. And then you have Caitlin Clark out there doing like logo sidestep threes. It's the level of separation between the elite players and the not very good players in women's college basketball is just astronomical. It's incredible.
I refuse to watch till they get paid more money.
That's a weird. You're not helping them by not watching, but
I don't think that was a genuine thought. I don't think Bobby was being genuine there. All right, Bobby, we got to end on a high note. Give the people. You want to give them a homer? You want to give them a stack? What do you want to give the people before we step aside and get out of here? What do you need to take down tonight's baseball slate?
Oh, I wanted Travis d'Arnaud. He got moved out of the lineup. Let me go to. I'm going to say, one sec. Let me see Ozzie Albies. I'll go Ozzie Albies.
Bobby's going to start watching the big 3. That's never going to happen, by the way. I don't know if you're holding out hope for that, Bobby. That's not going to happen. Tim, what do you got?
Darvish and a Padres 5-man stack.
All right. Crunch time, basketball, baseball. You got Kevin Roth, going to give us an update as far as what's going on out there weather-wise, in Chicago especially. New York as well. Keith covering basketball. Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood covering baseball. Roth, take it away. Crunch time.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is crunch time, still crossover version. We got my guy Cheeseisgood in the house. What up, Cheese?
Well, Keith is here, and so you are 2 of my favorite people, and I'm thrilled and honored to be here.
Thank you. We do have.
So I'm doing great. That's all I have to say.
Wonderful. We do have Keith. He is one of my favorite people as well. Ice, what's up, man?
Feeling the love.
You should.
You guys as well. Happy to be on. Feels like I should be talking some baseball, joined by Roth and Cheese, but we got some basketball left to talk about, so we'll do it.
We do. And in a couple weeks here, once we're into the playoffs, then you will be joining us, I assume, just to talk baseball during MLB crunch times, right?
Certainly, of course.
Very good. Could be Travis says, Cheese bringing the good mojo. Cheese always brings the good mojo. That is true. And I bring the weather. Cheese, shall we do a little weather rundown here?
Yeah. You were up early this morning. So was I. You were scaring me early, but maybe it's a little better.
I think so. And honestly, that's been the trend so far this year. And maybe it's just a trend in general, is that early in the morning, and I make the forecast at 5 a.m. or whatever, it's just like rain. There's rain. And then as you get a little bit later in the day, you can kind of find the timing of that rain a little better. And the timing of that rain is going to work out in Philly. Like, we have a window in Philly where I'm not concerned. So I think everything's fine in Philly. In New York, the timing of the rain is right now. And maybe 2 hours from now, it's pretty clear. So my guess is that they're going to late start in New York. I haven't seen an announcement yet. Maybe they'll just play it in light rain and then they'll finish. Rain doesn't move back into New York until midnight. So I think whether they late start or don't, the game in New York, the Mets game, is going to be okay. And then the timing of the Baltimore game sucks. That one's going to be a problem. That
one's just on that little turbo slate that's not the main slate anyway, so that's actually okay.
Really?
Yeah.
You're telling me that we don't care about the Baltimore game?
That's correct.
That's amazing. What? Because they're randomly starting in 10 minutes.
Yep. That's
fantastic.
Just to help you out.
That's phenomenal. All right. Well, that makes it easy. I'm not going to waste time stressing about it. I guess they're probably going to start on time since they haven't announced a late start, and they're going to delay in that game. That brings us to Chicago. Dean said we were worried about Chicago. We're not. Dean, we're not worried about Chicago. Chicago's fine. It's cold and it's windy, but they know that, and they're playing anyways. They would have postponed it 4 hours ago if they were going to do that. So I think we're good. Peter Porker says, I saw another DFS site giving props to Kevin today, saying he is spot on. Thank you. Let me know what site it is. Drop the site. Let me know. I'm curious as to what site and who said it. With that, I think that's pretty much, I think we're good then. Like, if Baltimore's not on the slate, Cheese, I think we're good.
Yep, we are good. And just so real briefly touch on, so the two Chicago games, cold weather, but wind blowing out. So it's kind of like a little bit help to pitching, but not super huge. Is that your feel on it?
I think that's fair. The wind is definitely blowing out in the White Sox game, right? 15 to 20 miles per hour. In the Cubs game, it's kind of left to right and kind of out to right. It's not the true, windy, wriggly wind that we want to see. But it is still somewhat blowing out to right. So it's a little better.
All right.
Yeah. But mostly it's like 38 degrees. It's really cold, and it is not good for hitting. Okay, with that, let's dive into it. Cheese, why don't you talk to me about some pitchers?
All right. Strange pitching slate. Like, I'm still super conflicted. Like, we sort of have aces, and yet, as I kind of touched on in the article, we're almost out of aces just in the league overall. There's like Strider, who's not today, and then a few other guys, and then it's like, I don't know if we have aces anymore. The league is filled with pretty good pitchers. And so the guys who would be aces on this slate, like Louis Castillo, Zach Gallen, Framber Valdez, they all kind of had some shaky starts to the year that leave you kind of
shaky as in it was a one-off and you're not worried, or shaky as in their velocity was down?
Yeah, shaky as in I need to see a start to have them look. Nothing like I'm worried a month from now, but like I need to see them pitch like aces first before I'm all in. I am playing some Castillo. But where that leaves us is with Shane Bieber and Brian Bayo chalk, which is weird because both of those guys were simply below average strikeout pitchers last year, like 20% strikeout guys. Bieber comes out of the gate and has one amazing game against Oakland, so I don't know if it counts. And now he's like mega chalk at a fairly high price. And then Bayo, who strikes out nobody, he's a very good real life pitcher. but strikes out nobody is chalk because he's in Oakland. I would tell you to just play those two guys in cash games. Probably Bayo on FanDuel because of the salary, and just play the two of them on DK. But I am vastly underweight in tournaments. I started the day thinking, all right, I'll just play Bieber and Bayo at about the field. But I just can't do it. I think it's weird, and I'm not okay with it. So I'm going to Castillo ahead of those guys. But really, I'm playing just cheap nonsense because the difference between the air quote aces right now at this point in the season and cheap nonsense is just not that big. So for me, that cheap nonsense is Ronaldo Lopez, Javier Assad, Alex Wood, and then on DK, you can throw Adrian Hauser in there. These are not good pitchers, but those four pitchers have great matchups, whereas the guys up top, other than Bayo, really do not have great matchups.
I see.
So I don't want to pay $9,000 for Zach Gallen, he was 2 miles an hour less than his usual velocity against the Yankees, when I can just play, Assad, who's not great, but at home against Colorado, or Alex Wood is at home against the Red Sox, Lopez against the White Sox, Hauser against Detroit. Just give me the cheap pitchers and good matchups. That's where I'm landing much more. If we jump back up top for a second, in addition to the chalky Bieber and Bayo, which again, I don't disagree with the projections having them as the top two guys. Like, I think they're kind of if you want to try to find safety, that's probably it. But I think we've learned this year, like, let's give it a little time before we say anyone's safe. I put Castillo and Darvish next. And I have like one share maybe of Gallen and Valdez. That's it.
Okay. Then I suppose that's it. Pitchers, we can talk some stacks.
We can talk some stacks. What's interesting now, the two, if every game was in the same ballpark weather, the Braves and the Cubs would be the top two stacks, like by a lot. And they're in those two Chicago games. I'm downgrading the Cubs a little more. Like, the Braves are just so good, but the Braves are also, they're in the weather and they're facing a guy who might be good, Crochet. So I still call the Braves and the Cubs my top two stacks, but it's more like a 5-way tie rather than tier of their own. So I'm going Braves, Cubs, Padres. Where am I going here? Dodgers and Arizona. You could easily have Boston there. You could have, I like Houston, pieces of Houston more than a full stack, but you could have Houston up there. There's really nobody off the board tonight, I don't think. Like, even because the aces looked a little shaky, like, I don't mind Yankees or Blue Jays. I have some Seattle stacks. I have Oakland stacks. I am playing some nonsense, but essentially Braves, Cubs, Padres are my three favorites.
Okay. Then I suppose we go around the horn. Cheese, what do we got?
All right. Catcher is.
Hang on. I think I just saw delay confirmed. Is that the Baltimore?
No, Tigers Mets is delayed confirmed.
The Mets. Okay. So that's kind of what I was expecting, right? A late start in that game. I think if they want it dry, it's probably about a 2-hour late start, but it will be dry. Like, I don't have much of a concern. I think they're going to play. That's how I feel.
All right.
So, yeah. All right. Sorry, Cheese. Go for it.
That's fine. Catcher, there's really nobody expensive. I mean, Will Smith's only 44. And I guess before I even go into that, let's talk about the Dodgers a little bit. Like, the Dodgers and the Braves are the best teams just every day. But Logan Webb is really good. So the Dodgers aren't projecting great. I don't think they'll be super popular, and they're still the Dodgers. So I'm playing the Dodgers a little higher than where their projections are, just based on ownership. But as far as like one-offs, I don't think it's a day you need to pay for Will Smith. I like Gabriel Moreno the best, but Yainer Diaz is the other guy. I think he would be the cash game play if you need a couple extra bucks. And then everything else is just kind of toss it in the stack as per usual.
Okay, first base.
It's not great at first base. I love Christian Walker. He's one of my favorite plays on the slate. But this is where, so we've got like Olsen and Bellinger are lefty in the cold weather. Ohtani and Freeman are facing Webb, and Guerrero is facing Valdez. So like all of those top first basemen are fine, but kind of overpriced for the matchup. So as far as one-offs, I'm really just playing Walker. But the cheap stuff isn't great either. It's kind of a mess. Like on FanDuel, Nolan Jones is at first base for $3,000. I think he's one of the top values. But on the DK side, like the cheap stuff would be like, Bobby Dahlbeck or Ryan Noda. Like it's just not great. So I really am trying to get up to Walker or playing like some Goldschmidt in that range, something like that.
Okay, second base.
Second base is decent. The Mookie Betts thing, like I would still call him the best play if like salary is no issue, but salary is an issue, and I don't think this is the day you need to prioritize him. I like Marte the best and Albies second with Altuve right behind them. That's kind of my go-to trio. FanDuel wise, Christopher Morel is available at like 3 positions, and I like him probably best at second base. On the DK side, you can fully punt if you need to with this guy for the White Sox who I am certain at one point there's supposed to be an R on the end of his last name and they forgot it, and then he never corrected like his parents or whatever. So
I missed it.
Shoemake, but not Shoemaker. Just Shoemake.
Yeah, no. I see it. Yeah, no,
it's like it just looks like they just did that wrong. He's actually not out some talent. So as a punt, I don't mind him on DK.
Okay, how about third?
All right, so we got Austin Riley, always fantastic. We got Christopher Morel on both sides as third base. I like Manny Machado the best overall. He's kind of expensive, but that's who I like. Matt Chapman is the guy who's kind of a little too cheap just for a one-off home run chasing kind of thing. 3,100 on FanDuel is really cheap, and 42 on DK is cheaper than those other guys. And that's pretty much what I'm focusing on at third.
Shortstop.
Shortstop is going to be a problem all year, it seems like. And then today, like the better hitters don't have great matchups. So Swanson kind of ends up as my go-to. On FanDuel, Trevor Story is nice and cheap. And then on DK, I'm mostly playing Machado at shortstop because he's third base has better options outside of him. We do have, I think Jeremy Pena is probably my favorite cheap guy at 3,400. And that's that.
Then we get to go to the outfield where I'm sure we're spending up and getting some bats.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just every day these players are good at baseball hitting. If I have to just pick my favorites today, I'm going to say Tatis, Tucker, Acuna, followed very closely by Alvarez. I also like Lewis Robert. And then mid-tierish, Jorge Soler on FanDuel stands out at his salary. The Braves guys, Ozuna and Duvall, stand out on FanDuel as well. On the DK side, I like Seiya Suzuki, mid-tierish wise, along with Adam Duvall. There is super cheap stuff if you need it. I think you could play like an A's bat like Bleday or Seth Brown. We've got 3 essentially minimum salary plays. We got Victor Scott for the Cardinals, and now they also got this Siani guy in the lineup who's 2,200 and he's got some speed too. I prefer Scott. And then Jorge Barosa for Arizona, minimum salary. All these guys, like, we're decent enough minor league players that I don't think they really need to be minimum salary. So I have a weird amount of Barossa on DK just because then you can kind of play whatever you want. On FanDuel, you don't really need those guys so much, where the 3K range is great. Like just play, Soler and Duvall and stuff instead of those guys.
Okay. You want to give me a home run pick? Maybe, you can't just say, I don't know, whoever's definitely going to hit a home run.
Who can I not say? That's
you
what I
can't
wanna
say
know.
like Acuna, or like, I don't know.
Okay.
You can't say someone who's definitely going to hit a home run.
On the semi-obvious side, I'll go with Machado. Slightly less obvious, but still not sneaky, I'll go with Matt Chapman and Christian Walker. And then, like, for kind of cheap, random nonsense homers, I'll go with Seth Brown.
Okay. Very nice. Cheese, why don't you hang out for a little bit longer here? And if you could, Cheese is going to answer some questions in the Discord. That sound good?
Yep. I'll be Discording while you guys talk hoops, and I'll keep an ear out in case Keith says something wrong. I will fix it.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And then towards the end of the show, we're going to bring Cheese back. We'll get you to answer any questions that you might still have. Before we talk some hoops, you should know there's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. NBA, PGA, NCAA basketball, NHL, MMA, MLB, all that going on. You can get yourself a 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99, which is a savings of $250. That's a lot of money as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium, which a lot of people do. You can also give Combo a test run with a 3-day pass, $19.99 if you're looking to test the waters before diving in. Check the link in the description for more info. Saving $250 if you do it that way. So I highly recommend that option. Ice, let's talk hoops, man. I've been staring at a radar all day. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to think about basketball and play some basketball. So what's been going on?
Lots has been going on. Just got Tyrese Maxey ruled out, and not sure if you saw, we have the return of Joel Embiid tonight.
I did see that. Is he priced down, or did they just hold him at like 11K or something?
They said he's going to be on a minutes restriction, like 25 to 30 minutes, so probably can't do it. Philly's in a great spot in general, though, with Maxey out. OKC is very shorthanded on the other side. Both Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams are ruled out, so that game is going to be a primary target, both in cash and in tournaments. We also have a lot of wide spreads on this slate, so I think getting the favored team and then the underdog who is like 10 or more points underdogs, finding the team that can keep the game close is going to be an important thing for tournaments, and just building into that game. Other injury news, Damian Lillard is out for Milwaukee, so Giannis is obviously popping a ton. A couple other Bucks pieces look pretty good. Washington is really shorthanded. Kyle Kuzma is out. Also Holmes and Tyus Jones out. Donovan Mitchell is out for Cleveland. Also Okoro and Wade don't matter as much, but definitely weakens the defense without Okoro there. Utah is shorthanded without Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, and Jordan Clarkson. And San Antonio is shorthanded without Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, and Keldon Johnson. Things we're still waiting on. We did get LeBron and AD in, so don't have to worry about that. Denver is the only thing I think that's still left out there. Jamal Murray is questionable, and Nikola Jokic is probable. Murray hasn't played in quite a while, so we'll see if he makes it back for that game matchup against San Antonio. I don't think they necessarily need him to win this game, but we'll see what they do. They probably don't want him to miss too many games here and need to have some reconditioning before the playoffs. But I think that does it for the injury news.
Did you basically tell me every Spur except Wemby is out? Is that what I heard?
Yep, that's pretty much what you heard. 2 starters, and then Kelvin plays starters minutes off the bench. So, yes.
I mean, do we just play? I play Wemby every slate, but is he just going to do everything, like even more so than he already does?
He is. The problem is it's a matchup in Denver. Denver plays good defense, and they play so slow. Like,
damn it!
He's not actually grading out all that well, and the price and the sites have finally started to price him up where he deserves to be. When he was down under 10K, it was just smash him in for every slate basically. But now up to 11.7 on FanDuel, a little bit tougher to get to him.
Okay, makes sense. All right, well, why don't you run me through what you're doing over on FanDuel? Then we can talk DK, and then we will get to some QQs.
All right, let me give it a quick refresh here. I see the Philly projections have just updated. Let me give those a quick glance as well, because I think that is going to impact some things. Maybe not. Philly not quite grading out as good as I thought they would. So probably not going to matter all that much for cash games. Let me make sure. Yeah, Maxi's out of there. Okay. All right, the FanDuel cash build. We'll start with Noto's core tags. I mentioned Giannis and Middleton are both tagged here. Middleton a little bit more expensive on DK, but looks good here on FanDuel. No Damian Lillard, so lots of usage to go around. And then Josh Giddey is the other core tag with SGA and Jalen Williams out. Giddey has been playing very well, projected to play over 30 minutes as he has been doing for a couple of games now. Going through it position by position here. At the point guard position, Darius Garland looks great. He's just way too cheap for a great matchup against Utah without Donovan Mitchell. He is certainly a guy that you want to play here. Keontae George looks really solid. I mentioned Utah being a little bit shorthanded. Cleveland's defense being a little bit down without Okoro. Kayson Wallace is actually not even projected to start, but we do have him for a pretty big workload here, 28 minutes. I think there is a chance that he could start. I don't think it changes the minutes projection all that much, whether he starts or not, but he's 4,400. And without the two big guys there, SGA and Jalen Williams for Oklahoma City, he certainly is a great value play. Josh Giddey, of course, is somebody that you want to get in there. For tournaments, guys like Jordan Poole look pretty good. We know he has a big ceiling. Karis LeVert, somebody I really like for tournaments as well. D'Angelo Russell has flashed big ceiling as well. Love the matchup for him against Toronto. That was shooting guard too. Sorry, I didn't mean to combine them without mentioning that. But
I'll allow it.
Point guard and shooting guard. Moving on to small forward. Gordon Hayward is just 3,900. We have him projected to start for Jalen Williams. So 30 minutes for him at just 3,900. I definitely want to lock him into cash games. Lou Dort is another value option on the shorthanded Oklahoma City teams. Chris Middleton without Lillard looking really great here. The core tag, as I mentioned. At the power forward position, Giannis is definitely the guy that you want in there. Great spot for him. Awesome matchup against Washington. No Damian Lillard should see massive usage in addition to all the rebounding that he does. Jetty Osman is a value option here for San Antonio. Mentioned they're without several key rotation pieces. Denny Avdia, a guy who's been playing huge minutes, is certainly cash viable. Tournaments, I really like the Cavs guys, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Aaron Gordon, I think, is really interesting as well in this matchup against San Antonio. If Murray gets ruled out, obviously that's a boost to Gordon and even Michael Porter. I think that about does it. At the center position, Chet Holmgren, certainly without SGA and Williams, is an option. If you can't quite get up to him, I don't mind Walker Kessler. No John Collins, no Lauri Markkanen, so not a guy whose minutes are generally very secure, but I feel pretty good about him tonight. Matchup against Cleveland as well, who plays two bigs. So Kessler should be on the floor plenty. Totally agree with that. 31 minutes production. Some tournament plays. Rudy Gobert, a guy I definitely like. Tougher matchup against Houston, but certainly don't mind him. He's been really good with. Well, Cat has been out here. Let's see. I think that about does it. Wemby's price is a little bit up there, like we mentioned. I do like who was I? Landale has been playing. Minutes are kind of all over the place. I think at 5K, he's a decent tournament dart. Interested in some San Antonio stuff too. As we mentioned, being really shorthanded. Like Zach Collins didn't play a ton of minutes in the last game. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. Like, we haven't projected for 17, but like 20, 22 minutes wouldn't surprise me. He'd be in play at that if he gets that type of run. Sandro, ready for it, Cheese. Mamu Kalashvili is the guy who got the run last game. Certainly don't mind taking tournament dart on him as a really cheap center.
Very nice. Cheese, I would like you to repeat the name that was just referenced. Full name.
Yeah. Mama Shituke La.
It's so good. Mamakashvili?
Mamu Kalashvili.
Yes. Okay, how about a little DK rundown, or was that kind of combined?
It was kind of combined. If I mean, I can go through it if we have the time, or it is extremely similar. 2 core tags, Giannis and Giddey, same as it were on FanDuel. The lone difference is Walker Kessler is a core tag over here at just 4,700. Talked about his situation on FanDuel, but should get plenty of run here against the big men of the Cavs. At point guard here, Josh Giddey again. Kayson Wallace is cheap over here on DK as well. Darius Garland is cheap over here, as too cheap for his role without Donovan Mitchell, at least. Patrick Beverley as a value option. I don't hate that. Probably more of a tournament play. Doesn't quite need to be in the cash build. Certainly prefer the Thunder value to Beverley. At shooting guard, Kayson Wallace has shooting guard eligibility, as does Giddey. So if you're not playing one of those guys at point guards, certainly lock them into the shooting guard position here. Devontae Graham is popping a lot. That's a pretty uncomfortable Spurs guy. He did see 18 minutes in the last game they were in this situation, but he did not do a ton with them. So I would rather not have to play Devontae Graham. I'd rather get up to that 4K range where I think there's a lot stronger plays. Karis LeVert's one of my favorite tournament plays on the entire slate. Love the matchup for him against Utah. No Donovan Mitchell. Sam Merrill is a great pivot off of Devontae Graham for 800 more if you want to go that route. Having projected for 23 minutes, blowout, might see a little bit more run. So certainly don't mind him as a tournament target. At small forward here, Gordon Hayward, really cheap over here as well, just 3,300. Projected to play 30 minutes as the starter for Jalen Williams. Jetty Osman on a shorthanded Spurs team is looking like strong value as well. Middleton is the spend up type guy. Mentioned the price isn't quite as friendly as it was on FanDuel, but I do still really like him for tournaments here on DraftKings. Avdia is a really strong play as well. LeBron, of course, you can always play. Power forward, Hayward has the power forward eligibility as well. Giannis is the top spend up on the slate for that Bucks situation. Awesome matchup against Washington. Anthony Davis is a phenomenal tournament pivot. Always has a massive ceiling. Love the matchup for the Lakers as well against Toronto. And then at the center position, Walker Kessler has the core tag, certainly your cash game center. For tournaments, I love Chet Holmgren. Marvin Bagley is a guy with a ton of upside. No Rashawn Holmes, so minutes should be secure there for Bagley. Mentioned AD at power forward. The Cavs guys as well, Mobley and Allen. And I think that about covers it.
Okay, very nice. We still have more than 10 minutes for some QQs. Cheese, is there anything that you would like to throw in other than trying to pronounce difficult names?
I mean, if I was the producer of the show, we would be listening to a video of Mama Say, Mama Sa, Mama Kusa, Mama Say, Mama Sa.
I saw
but no, I think you got to play that guy for sure. Like, just lock it in, you know?
Mama Say, no Makusa. Lock him in?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, he is a cheese core play officially. All right. Hey, let's dive into these questions.
You know, which makes me wonder if I actually have the ability to tag NBA plays. I'm going to try it one day before the end of the season. See what happens.
Are you just going to tag them based on their last names?
Obviously. What else is there?
That's great. Yeah.
Last day of the season, we need to make this happen.
Yeah.
There should be some fun names.
Let's see what we got. We do have a bunch of questions coming in. I generally start in the RotoGrinders Discord, but as Cheese has done a wonderful job of keeping up with questions there, I'm actually going to start real quick in the YouTube. Get your questions in. Hit us with a thumbs up. Free content, multiple sports, and the best weather analysis on this side of the Mississippi. On either side of the Mississippi, if I'm being honest with you. Let's see. Cam Whitmore in a DKGPP. Ice.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Really tough matchup against Minnesota, but he did play 22 minutes in his first game back, and we know he can do big things per minute.
Okay. I think this is a cheese question. Vinny M says, is Mize any good?
We don't know. He hasn't pitched since 2021. And he was just kind of okay then. he is going to be good eventually. But if he's good right now, I mean, he's probably fine. I'm not playing him tonight.
Okay. Cheyenne says, is Assad safe from a weather and inning projection standpoint? I don't know. Where is Assad?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Cubs.
Yeah. In fact, I like it. And Cheese, any Wood? Do you have? Yeah, you mentioned him.
I do have some, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see what else we got. Cheese, would you play Lopez over Bieber? I'm playing a Brave stack.
Lopez over Bieber. I mean, not if you're just leaving the $2,000 on the table. I mean, like straight up, just play Bieber.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have? A few more of these YouTube ones. Campaign. Campaign.
So we currently have Batum projected to start. If Campaign is in that starting lineup, he's gonna really start popping. I think. I do like him as a tournament
for him for sure. I would campaign for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Off the bench, still a really solid tournament play.
Okay. Naja Boy says DK GPP. This is a basketball question. Ice is playing Anthony Davis and Giannis together a viable strat.
Yeah, talked about a lot of 3K guys that are in play on this slate, as we often get late in the season. So definitely.
Okay. FanDuel NBA GPP. Ice Smoke and Jay says you didn't mention anyone in the New York Miami game, which is maybe the most competitive game of the night. Any love for players in that game? I know a dude, Ice, in that game who can score 60 real life points in the bucket. The damn Brunson burner. You're right. Any interest in anybody? I know it's maybe a slower paced match.
That's exactly what it is. Two really strong defenses and two slow paced teams. So it's not grading out all that well. But if you think that's the lone game that stays close tonight, and that's certainly a possibility, then yeah, I'm fine with stacking it up and taking a little, getting exposure to that game, even though it's not projecting all that well. But Bam, Jimmy, Brunson, even Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, all of them are in play for sure.
Okay, great. Cheese, got some questions for you coming in the YouTube here. One from Amateur Hour says your favorite pay-up pitcher of Castillo, Bieber, and you.
Castillo.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, back to some hoops. 3v3, Keontae, Braun, and Dort, or P-Bev, Giddy, and Denny.
I will lean slightly to the first one. It's really close.
Okay. Carolina guy says, Cheese, favorite FanDuel single entry pitcher, also one lineup. Oh, okay. So also your favorite stack. So basically give him the FanDuel single entry build.
I'll just send you a lineup. Castillo if you have money, Assad if you don't, and Padres.
Okay, great. John Tom says, any interest in secondary Lakers ice like Rui or Dar?
Yes, I do. Awesome matchup. Rui has just been incredible. He's been playing a little bit of 5, the backup 5. I guess that was because Hayes was out and Hayes is back today, so may not get that luxury, but it's still a great matchup for him. And I mentioned Russell's ceiling. I think he's an outstanding tournament play.
Nice. Okay. We got Stevie in the chat, by the way. What's up, Stevie? Thanks for hanging out with us, man. What do we got? Who would be your SP2, Cheese? I guess first that depends who your SP1 is.
Yeah, and what for in cash, just play Bieber and Bayo. Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that. Like, there's so many ways to go. Like,
there's some, yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess I will say Assad, but just saying almost all of my lineups, I have a cheaper SP2 from that group of Assad, Lopez, Wood, and Hauser.
Okay. Ice, any interest in P-Bev? He was mentioned in a 3v3 earlier.
Yeah, definitely. Starting for Lillard, I definitely have interest.
Okay. Devin pointing out that if you get in the RG tournament, it's going on right now. $5 to enter. Winner gets a week of combo RG premium at prime time. This is a good time to have access to RG premium. So that is actually a great little contest to get in. It's $5. You put the link in the Discord, so make sure you're checking it out. Cheese, Peter says, do you think the Jays could be a sneaky stack after they were no hit?
if you assume that Framber Valdez is fine, like he walked 6 guys on opening day when I said like all the aces were weird, that's almost certainly just a random mirage. If Framber Valdez is anything close to his normal self, no, I don't think they're a sneaky stack. I think they're a terrible stack. But maybe he's just off and he's not back tonight. So like if you want to play for those 6 walks were real and he's just not ready for the season yet, then sure.
Okay. Best pitcher on Yahoo Cash. Cheese, I don't know if you've seen the prices over there or if that's just not.
I have. Yeah. Bieber's priced way up. I would say Bayo is definitely the cash game play. I would do Bayo Castillo or Bayo Darvish.
Okay. Cheese, more questions coming in here. Better cheap pitcher for FanDuel, Assad or Lopez?
I mean, there's truly not an answer to that. Like they're exactly the same. I have slightly more Assad, but like 52-48.
Okay. Pharaoh says FanDuel Cash Cheese, Pablo Reyes or Blaze Alexander. Is there a dude named Blaze Alexander?
Yeah, for Arizona, and they moved him up in the order. Actually, for that reason, I like him better.
For his name?
So that would be my answer. Yeah, Blaze Mama Seta.
That's amazing. I would absolutely get that guy in my lineup. I approve. Let's see. What else do we got? Any Isaiah Joe? Ice? Any Isaiah Joe from Ron?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it in like a single entry or 3 max, but I think if you're playing more lineups than that, certainly in play. Thunder very short-handed.
Okay, and I like this question from John. Can you play Embiid knowing he's only getting you 25 to 30 minutes on DK?
I don't think you can, especially with Giannis and AD on the slate. Like, there's one of those guys that's probably going nuts. Yeah, I'd probably just set this one out for Embiid.
Yep. Okay. Is Bayo fine in FanDuel single entry? Cheese, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Is Hauser in play tonight? I feel like this is a guy we never want to play, but then he like gets it done, and then we're all pissed that we didn't play him. Is Hauser in play tonight?
It's the group on DK only. Is this group?
Wait.
It's not Sam Hauser. It's Adrian.
Is there
Hauser.
a basketball player?
There is. Is
no way
basketball Hauser not on the slate?
Sam Hauser is not on the slate. Do not play Sam Hauser.
Okay, I was talking about basketball Hauser. So, Cheese, you were correct to answer this. Man, is Hauser
Roth
in play tonight?
Clearly upset with me for talking about Hauser, Sam Hauser, whoever that is. Hauser, like there's that group of 4: Assad, Lopez, Wood, and Hauser. Hauser is 4th for me out of those 4, but it's a 4-way coin toss. So yeah, he's in play.
Okay, very nice. I thought I was on mute when I was talking to my kid. I wasn't. That's my bad. What do we got here? Arizona stack or Yankee stack? Geez.
I like Arizona.
Okay. Is Bruce here? This is definitely basketball. Is Bruce a good run back in a Lakers stack? Ice.
Yeah, I'd be fine with it. Toronto's rotation is so hard to figure out. I do think quickly being back hurts him a little bit. He's still going to be out there a bunch, though, so I'm fine with it.
Okay. Does Cheese like Volpe at least 1% more now? Did he get a hit? Did he do something?
He got 4 hits last night.
Look at Volpe go.
Probably a career high. So, I mean, what I said yesterday is he's going to be good, and it could happen this year. So sure. I actually really am curious. I doubt he's ever had 4 hits in a game. Like he's only played 1 season, but that's probably his first 4-hit game ever. So sure, 1% more.
Sometimes all you got to do is talk shit about a guy, and then they turn it around.
I mean, he watches Crunch Time. He's a fan
probably.
of Kevin Roth. He loves weather. I don't know if you know that about Volpe.
Yeah, it's good. He's like a future Mike Trout. CLT Go Blue says tonight we test the Roth ownership model. Assad has all the dots. Oh, I love this. Cheese. Assad has all the dots on lineup HQ, but is projected to be under 10% owned. I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's a curious one. I think he'll be like 15% owned. I still don't think there's going to be much ownership gap between those 4 players I talked about: Assad, Lopez, Hauser, Wood. Some people might throw a little Mize in there. Like, it's not like he's chalk, but I do think he'll be more than 10% owned.
Okay. Stevie pointing out he doesn't have all the dots. And also, there does seem to be a lot of viable pitchers. Like, the ownership seems like there's a lot of ways you could go here.
Yeah. Other than Bieber and Bayo, I really don't think chalk is a thing. I do think those two guys are going to be chalky on DK at least.
Okay. All the way from South Carolina, Daryl said he always tells us where he's from. I love that. I wish more people would tell me where they're asking questions from. All the way from South Carolina, Yahoo Cash Cheese, at third base, Manny Machado or Christopher Morel.
I like Machado. I like them both, but I like Machado a little better.
Okay. Michael in the chat says, hey, I've got a question for Cheese is good. He typed out your whole name. He could have just said Cheese, but we appreciate that. How do you feel about some Sox stacks? Sox.
So every team all year, regardless of anything, is stackable against Oakland. Like that is definitely a thing. With that being said, I really don't like the Red Sox against lefties, like at all, just in general. But yes, I do have a Red Sox stack because they are playing Oakland. I think at least Story and O'Neill are a little interesting. But like they're not in my top 5. But okay. I wouldn't argue with you if you had them like 4th or 5th on your list.
Gotcha. Stevie in the chat pointing out we only have 124 likes, which is just a little insulting to these guys. I feel bad that you would do that to them. So hit the like button, for all of us and to keep this show free, essentially. Steven says, Cheese, can I play Mamushkalishvili at first today?
Oh man, that would be so great if he were cheap. If he was like less than 4,000 on DK at first base, that is a lock button.
Yeah, you got to lock that in. We have hit the lock for some hoops. I think, Cheese, we probably still have a little bit of time for baseball. Is that correct?
Yeah, got a couple minutes. So Keith can throw in some baseball takes now.
Yeah, we'll take a few more questions. 150 likes, and I will do crunch time tomorrow for the early slate. That's great. I didn't know there was an early slate. Will you do it for me? Will you sub in and do my job? That would be awesome. What do we got here? FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Olsen, Nico, or Free Money, Freddie, and Ozuna?
Freddie, Ozuna.
Okay. Well, I said we would hang out and answer some questions, but guess what we've done? Guess what? We answered.
And yeah, I just want to say, definitely do the 150 likes. I'm pretty sure that me and Stevie are on tomorrow morning for the early slate. But if you don't like it, we're gonna cancel for sure.
Yeah, I thought there was a decent shot of that happening. We hit 157. Stevie, you're in. You're locked. It's happening. And with that, we have done a really good job of catching up all the questions. I think we're gonna bounce on out of here. So for Cheese, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow early, apparently. You have been crushed.